And then it started to go beyond that. He started to go into shul with Larry. And at one point I noticed he was wearing a yarmulke all the time. And he was lighting the Shabbos candles, keeping a kosher apartment with separate silverware for milk and meat. It's like he'd been bitten by a Jewish werewolf. I found it totally bizarre. And yet, on the other hand, psychologically speaking, it was incredibly obvious to me what was going on. Did he really not see it? This was completely a reaction to all those years, the hours of my father screaming at him, calling him a piece of dreck, telling him he'd never amount to anything. This was him. I'll show you. Not only will I achieve more than you've ever achieved, I'll out-Jew you too. I'm going to tell a quick joke to give perhaps some of the non-Jews a little context in case they need it. Guy goes to an Orthodox rabbi and says, Rabbi, I just bought this new Porsche. Could you please say a bracha for my new Porsche? And the rabbi says, you want me to say a bracha for an automobile? That's offensive. It's disgusting. Get out of here. You're an insult. And he takes it to a conservative rabbi and says, Rabbi, I just bought this new Porsche. And I was hoping maybe you could say a bracha for it. And the rabbi says, you want me to say a bracha for your car? I'm afraid that's inappropriate, and I can't help you. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. So the guy goes to a Reform rabbi, and he says, Rabbi, I mean no disrespect, but I just bought this new Porsche, and I was hoping maybe you could say a bracha for it. And the guy says, wow, a new Porsche, I'd love to. What's a bracha? Okay? When I was growing up, the synagogue we went to was an ornate, austere, Orthodox temple. And that is where Ricky was bar mitzvahed. And after Ricky was bar mitzvahed, we moved and we started going to a conservative temple. And that's where I went to Hebrew school and junior congregation and where I was bar mitzvahed. Oh, and when we were at the Orthodox temple, we were more conservative in the home. And then we moved to the conservative temple and we were more Reform in the home. And then after I was bar mitzvahed, I think my dad had a ham sandwich and a glass of milk and figured he was done. And to me, that was the irony of Ricky trying to out-Jew my dad, because that is obviously, to me, so clearly what he was trying to do. I think that's what the accounting was about and the lawyering was about, is I'm going to show you, piece of dreck, never achieve anything, I'll do more than you, and I'll out-Jew you too. But my dad, I don't think, gave a crap about Judaism. He did what he did because he was obligated to. It was what he thought he had to do. I certainly didn't give a crap about it. I remember being in junior congregation, 11 years old, singing these hymns, these prayers, and it's all in Hebrew. And I said to the rabbi, I don't really understand Hebrew. I don't even know what I'm saying. And his attitude basically was, it doesn't matter. God knows. Really. That's how it works. I just need to say the magic words, abra-fucking-cadabra. I'm 11, that doesn't pass the smell test with me. I eventually find out the translation to all these prayers, and guess what? It doesn't make it any better. It, in fact, makes it worse because they're all exactly the same. Oh God, you are great, you are so great, you are all-powerful, you are the great provider of all, we thank you, oh God, we are your servants, thank you for everything comes from you, O one who is greater than all others, thank you for choosing to bestow your blessings on us. Did we mention that we think you're great? Because that was the other thing that bugged me. And again, I'm only 11 years old, but the fact that we are the chosen people. We're chosen? Why? What did I do? Why am I chosen? And what about everybody else? They're just fucked? What about the Chinese? Sorry, Chan, tough luck. But before you go, bring us another serving of that Szechuan beef. We really like that. But not too much with the onions and the celery. It's too much. More with the bok choy. The other, it's too much onion. How are we chosen? We're the most annoying people on earth. And what about the fact that every religion thinks the same thing about their religion that you do about yours? I mean, the Christians think I'm chosen too to burn in hell forever. Why are you so sure that you're right and they're wrong? It just didn't make any sense to me. And not just the burning bushes and people turning into salt, but the idea that the way the game was set up was that you basically won or lost by virtue of being born in the right time and place. Because, let's face it, 99% of people believe what they believe because that's what their parents believed. Oh, sure, you could be born into a Hindu family and someday see the light and convert to Judaism or Christianity or whatever the right religion is, but what the hell was that decision supposed to be based on? A rational examination of the evidence? Caucasian, please. A rational examination of the evidence is to religion what a silver cross is to Dracula, okay? Speaking of evidence, Ricky was now graduated from law school. So he set out to start studying for the bar. And he studied for the bar the same way he had all the other tests, with laser-like focus. And while the New York, New Jersey bar exam may not be the hardest in the country to pass, it's probably not third either. Passed it first time out. Done right? No. He decides he needs his MML, his Master's in Tax Law. Takes him another year, but he gets that. And now he's officially Superman. Let's try to put this in context and remember this is the early 80s. This is pre-Michael Milken, pre-Ivan Boesky. People are about to make astronomical sums of cash with far fewer credentials than he has. But what it really means is there's nothing left to prove. For the past 5 or 6 years, Ricky had been living like a monk. He hadn't been dating, he hadn't been going out, he hadn't been partying, he'd just been studying and working. Finally forced to stop, take stock of all he'd achieved, and ahead of him, no more giant obstacles to go over, no more imminent tests to study for. He decided he owed himself some revelry and celebration. As luck would have it, on the train down to my parents' house that weekend, he ran into his old running buddy, Ernie. Remember Ernie? Ernie had had a cup of coffee in the European Basketball League, but was back now. He was a conductor on Amtrak. And they decided to get together. And Ernie was the one who introduced Ricky to heroin. Act 3. It was the early to mid-'80s. I had learned how to stand up on my board, and I was catching little rides, evening at the Improv, Caroline's Comedy Hour, VH1 Stand-Up Spotlight. The big rides still out there, Letterman, Carson. Ronald Reagan, remember him, was in the White House. His lovely wife, Nancy, was telling everyone to just say no to drugs. My brother, who was a CPA and a lawyer, was saying yes, yes please, to heroin. And just to be clear, Ernie was not a dealer. He wasn't a pusher. Wasn't no thing. It was just how he and his crew kicked it on the weekends. His attitude, which Ricky quickly adopted, was basically heroin had a bad rap. The evils and the dangers of it were way overhyped. So essentially, whoever was doing the PR for heroin was doing a lousy job.